Hi, welcome to this meeting of the Warren Astronomical Society. We are live and virtual at Macomb Community College. I'm your president, Bob Tremblay. Do we have any first timers here? Okay, I don't have to go through that spiel then. Our talk tonight is My 70-Year Journey in the Astronomy Hobby by Bob Berta, so I can't wait for that. Let's do a roll call. I'm Bob Tremblay. We got
Dale Parkin,
All right.
Vice President. Michael Dowd.
Maria Bodnar, Tina Wong,
Angelo DiDonato.
Bob Berta.
Ken Burton. Brenda.
Sonny Spilos.
Jeff McLeod. Mark Esder.
All right, and we have 8 people online. Hi, everyone. All right, do that. All right, WASP wearables are available from Mark Kedzier. You can find them in our newsletter. The picnic is next month, Saturday, August 23rd. Astronomy at the Beach is September 26th and 27th. That is coming up. We are doing some planning here before the meeting started. We could use some members for the table. I might be a little preoccupied this time with Brother Guy. He asked me to help him at the VOF table, so I'm going to be tag teaming the 2 tables.
Not allowed.
Yeah, sorry.
security.
Have we ever had security at these things?
We're gonna start so that
Oh.
people running the scopes can,
Security might be a strong.
take
This is security.
take a break.
So,
Bathroom dance break.
Astronomy at the Beach is run by the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs. They meet every Tuesday, and Jeff McLeod has been showing up. We could use another member to show up to these things, and we also have to start advertising the heck out of this thing. Let's do some quick reports. This is a reminder, I mentioned at Cranbrook, Gary Gathan passed, and he is going to have his service Friday, July 25th at 10 a.m. in Royal Oak. I sent a member. I sent a email out to the membership. Yep. Yep. So Dale, what is going on with you? I know what he's going to say.
Well, my usual request is I need speakers, right? Both for long talks and for short talks. And I would just reiterate, as Bob mentioned a few minutes ago, at our next meeting at Cranbrook, Adrian Bradley will have the short presentation, how to take the best Milky Way pictures ever. And then Dr. Nancy Chabot is going to speak on the DART mission.
Really?
Yes.
She spoke on the Vatican Observatory Foundation.
You suggested this to her.
She was really good.
You forgot?
I'm a busy guy. Yes, I forgot.
Slot that you need for short talks.
I think next month, then the following month.
Okay, I'll let you know when I actually have something done. But I want to
Nah,
put together.
I don't want to let you slip through my fingers that easily.
There's enough astronomy snake oil that I want to make a 15-minute astronomy snake oil presentation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be candid with you guys. I'm putting together some short presentations for times when I don't get one from somebody else, you know. Anyhow, a month from now, when we're back here at Macomb, how many of you who have been around this club for a while know who Rick Hill is? Okay. He years ago was a member of this club, did some really neat stuff, and was given a lifetime membership. I checked our records. We only have ever given lifetime memberships to 6 people, 2 of whom have passed away. You know, there's 4 left. Yeah. Ken Burton is one of them, but Rick Hill is a lifetime member of this club, but he lives in Arizona. Anyhow, he's really heavily involved in astrophotography, and he's going to be speaking, giving us a talk on solar cycle 25, which is the current one. And then later this year, I've got him scheduled for a talk on lunar photography, which he does a lot of. So we're going to be hearing more from him. So that's what's coming up. Okay. And I'm going to get on Jeff to get a short presentation on if I can. But if anyone else has some ideas for a presentation, let me know. Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, I got an idea for you, Dale. I got a recent update from Space Engine, which is that app that I use, and they've added a whole bunch of exoplanets in there. And they put the names down there, and the exoplanet names are absolutely crazy, and star names are absolutely crazy. So I want to do something on star and exoplanet catalogs and how they get their names. So write me down for that one. Rick Hill, actually, when I started working for the Vatican Observatory Foundation, I think around 2016-ish, he's the one that was responsible for getting Connie her asteroid. He was working at the Catalina Sky Survey, which he's now retired from. So I am thrilled that he's going to be talking. Okay, let's see. There's Dale. Riyadh, what is going on at the observatory?
Yeah, hi, hello everyone. We had an open house on June 28th. We started about 7:22, closed the observatory at 1:40 in the morning. So we had about 45 or so, maybe 50 people. We used the 8-inch f12 refractor to look at a number of deep sky objects. We looked at the moon, Mars, a bunch of double stars. There were about 6 telescopes set up outside the observatory as well, between observing as well as imaging. So it was a pretty nice open house. It had clear skies from start to finish. Next open house is July 26th. And as mentioned, of course, we have a couple of other events coming up, one of them being the Perseid meteor shower, August 9th. And then the picnic, which is an open house and a picnic on August 23rd. So that's what I have.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Perseids are the 9th, but they're doing Stargate a different day, or?
No, the Perseids are the 12th. We're doing Stargate on the 9th, which we've just got a request from Cranbrook to do a Perseids event on the 9th. So so we might be splitting who's doing what, but all right, thank you, Riyadh. David, what is going on with the Treasury?
Okay, so our checking account has about $22,951 on it. PayPal, we've got $313 on in PayPal. We did send the yearly Astro League out through PayPal yesterday. I sent that email with that screenshot over to Adrian. So that got done. And we got about $175 in the cash box.
All righty.
That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see. Charlie is online. All right, Jeff, you going out with outreach? Yeah, I will. At Cranbrook, we had the lady who's the director of outreach at Cranbrook, and I said, hey, we used to do stuff, and now they're inviting us. So that kind of worked.
So here's the deal, right? You can do both.
We can do both.
The Cranbrook event is going to be over before the Perseids really even get going.
Well, the Perseids actually start in July, so don't,
Yeah, but like the best part of the night is like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
So like, and Riyadh will be out there. So you could do both. They want 3 to 5 telescopes. Do they care that for the Perseids you don't actually want to be looking through a telescope? No, the public expects to see telescopes, so they want telescopes. Maybe you, and maybe one of those other guys. I can't go. I'm already booked, so I need to delegate. So if you're willing, or I'm going to be clawing into some people for the Cranbrook event, because We've set the bar, and I want to at least hold the bar where we set it. Especially after Bob, we're great. We did all this stuff.
We
No,
haven't done stuff for you in so
They-
long, and
they like it. We're good at it, you know. So and it is a good time. And like I said, I think they're going to be wrapping up around 10. You can drive up to the observatory if you want. It'll still be going. Should be nicer weather than the last time we were out there when it was 6 degrees.
was
Wasp
fun.
picnic is coming up
23rd.
23rd. We're covering of August, not this month. Yes. Good call. The club is covering dry goods, beverages, burgers and dogs, buns, condiments. Mark is grilling. We just need side dishes and bodies. We are also having the swap meet. So if you are looking to sell anything, just as in years past, you feel free to bring any equipment. We might also still try to unload some of the stuff out of the Dob shed. And then yeah, astronomy at the beach. I sent out an email to some people who have not responded about their availability for the event. No, I gotta put you into the list. You're on the list. I just haven't emailed you that you're in the list. I got all kinds of jobs. None of them are security per se, but it would be nice to have a gopher. I got the big Dob transported. I got it assembled. We should be good. I've got some telescopes. I want a couple more. I want a WASP group. Oh, I also want to buy some of that rope light.
LED red
Do you
rope
remember?
lighting.
Do you remember the event we did with the Metro Parks
Mhm.
for something, and they made this like
Yeah, because
viral-
I suggested it that
yeah,
they put the red
we
light
need to
down.
get. I want that like around us.
Yep.
And then we'll have like our own thing going on. So it's getting close to the time. GLAC has one more meeting before the event, so like we really have to start getting like all of our ducks in a row. But I think we're doing okay.
This is back at Island Lake.
Back at Island Lake, in the old spot, for better or worse. I don't really know. The other place was kind of cool in some other ways, but there was no beach, so can't be done.
All right.
Yeah, so if you
That's a particular sir.
the picnic starts at
Usually, I think board members,
4:30.
board members start getting there around an hour beforehand, but
So don't show up till 5.
Are you bringing the singing?
I'm gonna try. Yeah, I want to do a shakedown before astronomy at the beach, so that'll be a good. Yeah. Yeah, so if you'd like to help out at astronomy at the beach, either talk to me tonight and I'll get your email, or email info or outreach or board at Warren Astro, and I will get you in. We have like an in-house email where everyone who's volunteering can kind of know what's going on, like, hey, I'm only going Friday, so don't put me down for Saturday, that kind of stuff. Thank you. You astronomy at the beach, Jim?
all right.
On behalf of the book.
All right, so publications, our newsletter is out. And if you need to contact the board, you can email us at board@warrenastro.org. We don't have a David Levy. All right, so astronomy in the news. All right, let me share this. Get this over here. Two things going on here at once. All right, so put that over here. Actually, I can share that. Share. Screen one. That is not actually going to work. Stop share.
Well,
There.
All right, so that is up here. All right, so the Parker Solar Probe made its closest pass by the sun in December 24th of last year. NASA posted some amazing images and video, and I'm going to be playing this.
This off.
Yeah, not that, not that. There it is.
Whisper doesn't look at the sun directly. Instead, it captures solar material just as it comes off of the sun.
Look at
Without
that.
these images, the spacecraft was only 3.8 million miles from the sun's
That's
surface.
it's 3.8 million miles. 3.8 million miles from the sun. And that looks like you could like apply fluid dynamics to that. That's just amazing. High energy particles coming off the sun. So that is just amazing. So that this now it passed by in December, but this thing was posted on July 10th. So I'm not sure why it took so long, but whatever. So this guy, astronomers have witnessed the moment when planets start to form around another star. This is in the Orion Nebula. This is just above the belt. And this is a baby star, and astronomers have been watching this, and they pinpointed the moment when planets started forming around this star. So that is just amazing. Yes.
See that?
Well, don't see what?
Are you showing us a picture?
This.
That's a planet being born?
That is a baby star, and the planets are in there. Yeah, so this was amazing. An astronaut from the International Space Station captured a sprite. Probably was one of the best pictures of a sprite ever captured. There's a zoom in of it. So that is lightning, and what happens is this thing bursts up, and these are very transient, like less than a second. They're really quick. So she had this thing going and just took a whole bunch of pictures. But yeah, one of the best pictures of a sprite taken.
Be some special, because it's not that bright.
No, yeah, the article here talks about how they had to use special cameras and do some stuff to, I don't know. So this is interesting for those who are into light pollution. Astronomers, let's see, a new study published in Nature reveals that moths, you can decipher the night sky, and they use the Milky Way to navigate.
Wow.
So if they can't see the Milky Way, there's a problem. Yeah. So, let's see, continuing on here. So, NASA has partnered with Netflix, and they are bringing NASA Plus, which is the old NASA TV, and it's going to be a selection on Netflix. So if you're just perusing around Netflix, you can, oh, look, there's a NASA launch. Let's choose that. So I think it's a great idea for somebody who might not otherwise be looking for a NASA launch. If you see it there, you might click on it. I think it's a great idea. So we've got 5926 confirmed exoplanets. We're getting really close to that 6,000 figure, and 7655 candidates. Both those figures are up. Asteroids, we have 1,000,004 and 38,813 near Earth objects. Both those figures are up. T Corona Borealis hasn't done anything. I think I'm going to stop talking about it until it actually goes off. Spaceweather.com says chance of flares today. Cloudy with a chance of flares. Yeah. Don't be surprised if there's a solar flare today. No forecasters estimate a 60% class of M-class flares from at least 4 sunspots. And let's see, let's share that again, because there are a lot. Share that. Share that. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, there's a lot of sunspots today.
But do you have the data on when the Titan cast shadow on Saturn?
I
Right
can-
around this time.
I can find out.
Would you?
I can find out during the break. Okay, so let's see. Observing reports. Anybody got any observing reports? I know your whole presentation's an observing report.
What's that? Observing.
Observing reports. Anybody? Okay.
That, again, that's a very rare event, by the way, when you can see Titan cast shadow on Saturn. It's like a 15-year cycle. now.
Really?
Yeah.
When Saturn's rings go on the level, and you can see.
Yeah, you would have to be that. That's cool. I'll look that up.
So, yeah, because it may be in the next few days.
Well, let's see. If we don't have any observing reports, let's do our snack break a little early and meet back in 20 minutes or yeah, which is going to be 22. So take a 20-minute break, come back at 22, and we will start our feature presentation. And go get a bio, go get a snack, 20-minute break.
Hey, Bob, what was the name of that app that you had the exoplanets on?
Space Engine?
Space Engine?
Space Engine,
Is that
yeah.
an app on-
No, it's Windows only.
Okay,
Yeah,
but Space Engine.
Space Engine. Yeah, I love Space Engine. So let's check Titan Shadow now. Let's get that. I'm gonna check that. I'm not sharing that anymore.
I put it in the text chat for you, the link. You didn't see it.
Hey, Ken, tomorrow, 3 a.m. Tomorrow at 3 a.m. So I'm gonna bring up Stellarium and see if Stellarium. Nope, that was fine.
That's in 2027 of the August. And it's the big one. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Say it will be the third one.
Probably when I was about 2 years. Yeah, that's one.
You beat him.
Thank you.
See, you could do a talk like this.
there it is.
You were talking.
Hey, Ken.
I don't know if that's allowed.
Hey, Ken. Oops.
And then another.
I just want one. You get one for guy along.
Right.
And just like whatever I want.
You're not finding that.
Hey, Bob, you got a change for sales?
Me, I might.
That would be awesome for I want to
Nope, sorry.
All these,
Bob, what do you think about two of these behind us?
That'd be cool.
I just like that it's kind of actually kind of like a real image instead of just some bullshit. There's a lot of really weird psychedelic astronaut ones. I've got an awesome one where it's an astronaut in a pink inner tube floating out in space on a star field, but I'll put that on either side, TV. I'm gonna get an Amazon list together and probably send that to the board for approval. And then
Okay.
I'm gonna reach out to Signorama about a banner. It's not very good. Okay.
One guy, I think I know some wrong guy. Fast on, ripping them off. Like that, stiff and stuff. The legs.
You got another planetary still? I'm trying to get, I'm still getting a list together of who's got what. Because I want to get like people on like almost dedicated targets, so that our who has like the scavenger hunt nearly covered. And I don't know if I have a good planetary scope.
That's nice fun.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Please do.
And then if it's for whatever we can call it.
If they're doing it there, why does it say that's centered? Hey, Ken? Ken? What I'm sharing here is a stellarium, and it is showing Saturn tomorrow night at 3 a.m. And there's going to be a shadow of its large moon Titan, a shadow transit across the surface of Saturn, which I guess is pretty darn rare. It only happens when it's the ring system is edge on with us.
What's the asphalt brown?
That'd be a-
That's a. But we all know. Further west. Yeah.
I was gonna be there for a while. I'll be there a couple hours. That's cool.
No, I don't think it's necessary. You need to line one, but I can just line this one. So that you wait, you have something to look at, or something else. But there's two targets.
Ken?
Yes, you know. Oh, good. Yeah,
How you doing? Good to see you
that's
guys.
dynamite. We're not gonna get to see it, I don't think. I think we're gonna be more crowded out.
Ooh, man, those stickers are rare. I think they're gone.
But that is really cool.
There's 1,000 of them in existence and they're all gone. So I don't know where they are.
I should do a presentation on.
How you doing? Good to see you again. I met you at
Of the solar system.
Snap.
I found that a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
Do you know why the moons of Jupiter are named that way?
Oh, wonderful.
No, that is named. That name is Simon Berry's name.
I don't know.
Who they contemporary Italian.
That.
Who? Playing the kid actor every movie.
Yeah, they have been soft on the telescope.
I don't know a lot. I mean,
But Berry is flying.
You know, they get eye.
No, you mean ballet?
No.
Mary had a small.
No, she did have somebody did.
See, he was. It's a head stuff, you know, but he didn't discover that. Interesting story.
Exactly what it is.
Those are the first houses were discovered, right? So Gala is a real, very great thing. How much for the them? Some true.
There's. It's a little out of the way. There's a front line, Instagram water. Spacecraft.
Everything has that.
Close in.
You set up that then.
He was the pimp.
Right? We're missing good ginger.
Hey, Bobby, yeah, I gotta say, somebody says, oh, you know, that new astronaut came from another solar system. They're saying that proves there may be older,
all fine, but.
older than the universe. And where do they get that? How do they come up with that?
So he said he got him. And he said.
What's older?
I don't know that. This new asteroid they discovered, it's not from our planet, another planet or something coming into our.
Yeah.
But they're saying that was, so that reason, whatever it is. That is from the very beginning of the year, it was billions of years old.
Yeah.
How do they, yeah, there to there, how do they?
Wouldn't you just assume it's just another piece of rock that was flung out of another solar system from God knows where? Could have been floating around the Milky Way for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether somebody's just.
I have a coworker, he sends me a lot of like, "Hey, I saw this article and it says scientists say," and I go, "Oh, God, yeah, scientists say." Which scientists? Well, it doesn't say. You know what else I get a lot of? It's like, oh, the scientists discover an unknown, and it's like an article from 5 years ago. It's like, this is old news. Yeah, Boston on Venus. I was there. I remember. Why am I getting this right now? Like,
I don't know, somebody has something about. Then everything is, there are 2 cents, and there's all these people that are. Stoking. You know, by some off the wall comments.
Yeah. I heard a wild theory about why mammals have took over after the dinosaurs. Because the initial assumption is lizards are dominating, right? You have an extinction event. Lizards should come right back. Why did mammals all of a sudden take over on that particular? And there's a thing called it's some sort of like mushroom selection theory thing, that there was so much dead and decaying material and the whole photosynthesis shut down because of the nuclear winter, whatever you want to call it. So mushrooms were dominating, and mammals had a better ability to digest mushrooms than lizards, and so we were feeding on mushrooms, and that.
Lizards or dinosaurs? What do you mean by?
Well, birds, fine, dinosaurs.
Yep, they're like this. Right there.
Weird. I can't remember what it is about non-avian dinosaurs that like they couldn't process mushrooms in the same way. Also, the warm-blooded, cold-blooded, being cold-blooded, it didn't have as much energy to potentially like go out and forage. I don't know. I'm not a
I
biologist.
think you're wrong. Gary Olson was Gary. Gary Larson. He knows this. Oh, the dinosaurs. Okay, you ever seen that?
So Bob, what are you running? Did you make a?
This is the Messier Tour
Okay.
Stellarium script.
Oh, that's cool.
These were the last sort of that you really
And it's going in numerical order? Wow.
I'm not sure, is it?
Yeah, that seems to be. We just went from 15 to 16.
I'm not really sure why it's not centered. It's not off-centered. Weird.
It might be a extended object.
This, there's one standing with the dinosaur, somebody was with all their comments, and I mean, of course, you got somebody who was making fun of flat earthers and said, I wouldn't make jokes about the flat earthers, they got a lot of members all around the globe.
Don't come after you.
Oh, all around the globe.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I still like the why no flat Mars Society. Well, unlike the Earth, Mars has been shown to be round.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least they like evidence. I'm amused.
Unlike the other.
That's usually.
Yeah, I would have some.
And then, we talk about mushrooms, so it's not about the frown that went on in Australia. So some really good beef Wellington. Once you left them, three or four people. There was a lot of travel, she was strong.
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat mushrooms unless you really know.
Well, she did it intentionally.
Oh, good barrel. You knew what she was
Not only
doing.
was she trying to kill her ex-husband, she was trying to kill his parents too.
Wow.
Listen, let's pull this next one over. But see, you talk about mushrooms. It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I just got like the 5-minute download on it. It's not it's like, you're not gonna see it in a textbook. It's not widely accepted. It's pretty new. I think it was first like conceptualized in the early thousands.
I'm talking about.
And it is interesting.
Yeah.
I love theories.
I don't see all of them. He writes it, he put that in some.
I don't take sides in any of them.
Yeah, I always say, well, I won't be surprised either way.
I did see the new Jurassic Park.
How was it? Oh, yeah. What about the new Super?
I did see it.
No, I haven't been to a movie since. I can't remember the last one, probably the last Star Wars. We go to the movies every week, so. So that's what we do. Oh, I liked it. It was a good interpretation. But anyway, they cut out some of the more heady, weird stuff out of it, which. I never read it. I never read it. I couldn't get it. Yeah. I mean, I love the 1986 or 84 years. Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah, he did, because. They walked away from the. And he was. So, at that point, they just.
Yeah.
Way died from, aesthetic like David Lynch, I love. So. I don't like eating, this is what I know, it's about any of the. So.
Yeah, to me, a friend of mine lost his mother just the other day.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he wrote,
Reading.
I thought he mentioned that one of was eating. That's what he did.
Let's again.
Brandon Burke Park or something.
Bob, how did you list those astronomy clubs? Is that order of when you joined them or who you like the best?
No, we're down the table behind.
And we were first.
I don't know. The first was San Francisco, that was the first.
Oh, okay.
We're on the last one here, about 30 years.
Yeah.
The collection ladies.
Now there's some animals right there.
But shake his hands, go with it.
You go to open house stuff.
I'm sure I've got something, at least 746.
Is it doing this to me?
Generation
Me.
So, and you're just. I would fit on dirt for you.
They don't have anything.
Oh, yeah.
This.
What I got down. They're melting.
Oh, also, everyone, we're closely approaching the Apollo 11 landing anniversary, 2020 celebrated.
How's it being celebrated?
I don't know, I always dress up like an NASA engineer and carry my fly. How are you supposed to?
Wear a spacesuit.
There's actually 2 people at my work that we do that on the 20th.
That's the day Apollo 11 landed on.
Yeah, so yesterday was the launch, the 16th,
Oh.
and the 20th is the landing.
All right, it is 22, so we're gonna give our feature presentation. Take it away, Dale.
Email it to me.
Will do.
Well,
No, you're good.
so this evening, our main presentation is from Bob Berta, who's been around this club for a while. He joined in 2004. And as you can see from his title slide, he's kind of addicted to astronomy. You know, he's in several astronomy clubs. He moved here from San Francisco and he never stopped being involved in the club in San Francisco. That tells you how addicted he is to this hobby. I would call this a good addiction. And he's held several offices in this organization, including president. He's also a solar system ambassador for the Jet Propulsion Lab. And in his spare time, he's a gigging musician. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, musician.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plays various keyboard instruments. He's a cyclist and a kayaker. And he designed the astronomy observatory at the DbarA Scout Camp. Is that still operational? Okay. His title, I'm going to have to modify. It was going to be my 70-year journey in the astronomy hobby, but that's what it was going to be a month ago.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't meet because it was Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So now it's his 70-year plus 1 month
Right.
journey. Okay.
Yep.
Come on, Bob.
Okay, can you see me and hear me? There you are. There's the camera. Yes. There we go. There you go. Also, yeah. Also do it. Okay. This is sort of a 2-part talk, you might say. One is my life and the hobby of astronomy. But number 2 is I'm going to show how that really, my life in that, how it ended up flowing along with all the technical innovations in astronomy, and especially in astrophotography. And like I mentioned, I'll be 78 years old in October. And I started out when I was about 8 years old. Ken has it over me. He had 2 years over me. But he never lets me forget that. But it started out with, I went over to my mother's best friend with my mother. And of course, the 2 ladies were talking. I was bored, silly. So her husband said, "Come here, kid, I'll show you something out in the backyard here." So he took me out in the backyard and there's a telescope. There's a nice telescope. It was a refractor, a better one than, the normal beginning ones you would think in those days. And he was a retired fireman, and his retirement gift, I guess from his fellow firemen, was this telescope. So he said, "Look to the telescope. What do you see?" So I looked through it and I said, "Well, I know what that is," because I had enough, knowledge, I guess. I don't know where I got it, in school or watching on TV or whatever. But anyway, I said, "Well, that's Saturn." I said, "You're right." Well, that and a couple other things I saw, that was what hooked me. And it's interesting because almost everybody I know who got into the hobby of astronomy when they were kids, they say the thing that really made the difference was when they looked at a telescope and saw Saturn, the ring around and everything else. And that's what did it for me. And being hooked right away, you said, "No, I got to have a telescope," right? Well, when you're 8 years old, You don't rush right out and buy one, or your parents don't rush out and buy you one. So after a little bit of nagging and, crying, maybe, I need one, whatever. So my parents finally relented, I think about 6 months to a year later, and got me a Tasco. I think it was 50 millimeter, little small refractor. And those days it cost about $25, which doesn't sound like anything today, but in those days that was for a kid, that's a hunk of money. And that telescope actually still lives today because it got passed on through my family and my sister and her brother's kids, and now my sister's granddaughter is using it. So passes it on. So the message here is don't take your old telescope and throw it away. If you're looking for a telescope and you're first starting in the hobby, come to the club and find out if somebody here has one they want to get rid of, donate, or use one of our club donor telescopes. Okay. Here you go. Here we go. The next one here. That it? No. How do you get to the next?
Mouse wheel.
Oh, mouse wheel. Okay, try that.
Maybe not. Don't the arrows work?
Oh, maybe the arrows. Here, I can use the arrow.
Try the arrow.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay. But once I learned how to find and learn about the objects in space, I wanted to capture photographs because I always had an interest in photography. In fact, my first birthday, before I got my telescope, my parents bought me a little, it's called a Brownie Holiday Flash. And I still have that at my house, sticking into the case of all my early telescope and camera stuff. And this is a great camera. I said, okay, here's a great camera. I'm on my way. No, I needed a telescope. So my parents, a few months later, got me the telescope. Well, unfortunately, here we go. Okay, I thought I was a kid in a candy store, right? I now had my telescope and I had my camera, but then reality hit. This was the telescope. Well, actually, this wasn't the exact telescope. This is a picture of a more modern telescope, probably better than the one I had, and my very first Brownie Holiday Flash. Well, anybody who knows anything about photography knows, well, the first thing you have to do is attach the camera onto your telescope. Well, that doesn't quite work in this case because you can't attach it. There's no way to hook it up, make them see each other or anything else. There's no adjustments. That camera was so simple. You just basically hope there's enough light out, push a button, hope you got a picture. So anyway, that didn't work. So for a 10-year-old at that time, reality bid. So what I did was I went out and learned how to use telescope visually.
Bob, are you trying to show pictures to us people out here in virtual land? Because we're not seeing it, we're seeing it you.
Slides.
Oh, you can't see the slide?
Yes.
No, I can see it, no problem.
I can see them fine. Jim, maybe reset something if you can't see them.
So people are seeing the orange slide, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it say?
No
Does
problem.
it say first thing you learned in astronomy? Was that what you're seeing?
Yes, sir.
Think of, you've got a setting off on this side.
Oh, okay.
He's got his off, so that's, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but the first thing you learn in astronomy, you're always tempted by the next bigger, better, highest tech equipment, and you need to know when and good enough is good enough. Unfortunately, I've never learned that lesson. I'm still waiting for that day to come. So I discovered what a black hole is. A black hole is a space, it's in your wallet where money used to be. So the first thing I learned early on was what I call what you pirate to, the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, because it's very easy to get carried away in astronomy or any hobby. You keep getting more and more stuff. And frankly, I see a lot of people in astronomy who fall into that and they run out and say, I need to have a telescope. So they run out and buy a telescope. And it may not be the telescope they need or want or going to ever use, but they have to buy a telescope. So don't do that. As a club member, you've got a great opportunity to avoid that trap by borrowing telescopes from the club. Come to our astronomy open house events and look through all the different telescopes, talk to different people about what they like about their telescope, what they hate about that telescope. Also, you're going to find out very quickly that if you're going to just visually observe, you don't need to have a lot of stuff. In fact, that's where a Dobsonian style telescope comes in best, because you're not paying a lot of money for a motor drive and real high grade fancy optics. What you're buying is basically a really good optic and put into a simple box, which has what I call a lazy Susan tracking device. Simply, you can rotate it or move the telescope up and down. That's all you need if you do visual observing. And that's probably the best way to get into it, because you put all your money in the most important thing, the optic. However, if you want to do astrophotography, it gets a lot more complicated. A Dobsonian is not a particularly great telescope to put a camera on. You can do it if you're really a hardcore Dobsonian user, but it's not the best way to do it. So you try to find out what you want to do with your astronomy hobby. Do you want to take pictures of just wide views, very simple astronomical pictures? You don't need a really fancy setup for that. Later on, I'm going to show a picture which Angelo, right here in the front, his grandson took up at Zion National Park, which is an amazing picture. And when I get to it, I'll show you how amazing it is. Who can?
Jim should allow some.
Other people can, I think.
I don't know.
You can see it. Yeah, you're getting it right. That says specialization, KISS principle. Have you seen that online?
Can anybody else online see it? I can't.
We're looking at it right now.
Gotta be a setting.
Must be a setting you have on your computer or tablet or whatever. The other people are seeing it.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I'll not interrupt anymore. I just don't see the slides. I'll see what I can do. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, Jim.
Only the only slide is visible right now. There's no picture if you have a picture.
Yeah, all I have is a picture of Bob. Anybody else?
That, Jim. Anyway, let's go on. Okay. Well, I did want to take pictures and get pictures just like they do in NASA, right? Well, good luck doing that. But as you're going to see, you can get pretty darn close with modern technology. But over the years, the path I used was getting better stuff. So over 67 years, I've upgraded my equipment and cameras and my skill. That's the most important thing. I have a lot of people said, I want to go out and take pictures. What do I do? What do I buy? And then what do I do to get those pictures? And it's a long what do you call it? A climb to get where you want to.
Tell people online to mute themselves.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some of you might have your microphones turned on, so please mute your microphones on your laptops online. Okay. I started a photo business in college. This was before I actually worked real work, and I developed that, kept on doing it a lot. In fact, finally, that became my second career. I went to college and became an electrical engineer. After that, I became a construction superintendent in a power company. Then after that, I became the director in the law department for the same company. But all along, I loved photography and I loved astronomy. So my wife, who I got married after college, we got into a photography business. I had a full-time partner work with me. So that was a lot of fun. But finally, I started getting enough money coming in through my second job. And also I was able to buy the equipment I needed to get into not only the photography business, but also into my hobby. I got better and better telescopes. And finally, my first I guess, astronomy appropriate telescope was an 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain telescope, which had a motor clock drive and accessories so I could mount any film camera on that telescope. This was before the days of film cameras. As an electrical engineer, I had the luxury of good income, as I said, to support my family, but also I had enough, I guess, we go stick to the interest to actually stick my nose, say, I want to have this happen. You have to be driven to do that. If you start getting a lot of roadblocks, getting what you want, it can be very frustrating. And astronomy, especially astronomy photography, can be extremely frustrating. So you got to keep to it. So anyway, I kept upgrading my equipment, getting better telescopes, and also the most important thing was technology changed.
Starting in 1990.
Yeah. Okay, this is before digital cameras and your DSLRs came out. This is a what they call a dry camera, and it used 35 millimeter film in it. It was a Kodak Tech Pan film, which is a very slow film. But what you would do is they call it hyper sensitized Kodak film. They would expose it to gases. It could be hydrogen, nitrogen, or more recently, what we would do, like in this case, they would get the little Dryden capsules, like you ones that come in medicine bottles, get a bunch of those, dry them out in your oven, put them inside, put the film in, and wait a day, and that would absorb the moisture in the air, and that would make the film more sensitive. So you could actually have get a picture quicker, you might say, actually raise the ASA or ISO of the film. And the reason you did this was because you had what they call reciprocity failure on film. In those days, if you took a picture of, say, 1 minute long, and you say, well, I want to double the exposure, you don't take a 2-minute long exposure. You probably have to take a 4-minute long exposure because the film becomes less sensitive as a longer exposure. So that was a problem. Okay, so I spent hours and hours trying to get pictures, both with my 35 millimeter Minolta attached to the back of my telescope, better telescope, and also that dry camera. And some of the issues are really hard to deal with. The number one was guiding. In those days, we didn't have a auto guider on your telescope. What you had to do was take a second telescope, like your finder scope with a crosshair on it, very high magnifications, and you would sit, your telescope aimed what you want to take the picture, your clock drive running it slowly across. You sit there looking through your eyepiece and make sure that crosshair is exactly on some star. Goes a little bit off, you take your button, push a little bit, move it over a little bit, keep it perfectly centered. And this could go on for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. You can imagine sitting down in the dark for a couple hours with your eye glued to an eyepiece, trying to get perfectly centered, and hopefully everything worked. Like you hopefully didn't have a car go by, turn on its headlights. Your wife would come out, turn the light. How you doing out here? Stuff like that, so it could be a disaster. And I guarantee if anybody who's ever done this using a visually guided telescope, the next day you're going to work like this. Okay. The other thing is, since the film, you're hypering the film also, the ASA, the speed of the film changes over a little bit of time too. So what worked tonight may not work tomorrow. And unfortunately, you wouldn't find out about that until you got the film process, which if you did it yourself, maybe overnight or maybe the next day, or it could be longer, invariably you would get the film back and it would either have bad guiding or somebody turned the headlight on or whatever, and it came out as a disaster. So you spent 2, 3, 4 hours doing all this stuff and it was a disaster. So finally, I got some pictures on film. So some of my better pictures on film, well, sorry, I'm not going to show them to you because I don't think they're any good at all compared to the stuff we get nowadays. But guarantee though, you had to be a really dedicated person to do that back in the old days. Okay, now we're going to talk about technical advances. There's a few of them. The first one to me was the better mount. Okay, that first telescope I had was simply a telescope that had a clock drive on it. It would keep and lined up roughly with rotation of the Earth. I mean, the Earth in relation to the skies. But now they have better ones. They have mounts, which are very good mounts, can be actually guided electronically later on. But the main thing is they're much higher quality, much less error prone. The second technical advance is one of the big ones is digital imaging cameras. And digital imaging cameras are just like you have in your phone, your cell phone. The cameras can be a DSLR or a camera, just like the old style, Nikon cameras, only instead of having film, they have the electronic chip inside. The advantage of that is they're much more sensitive. They're linear sensitive. So remember I talked about reciprocity failure on a film camera. When you take a picture, say a minute long with a digital camera, and if you go two minutes long, it's exactly twice as much. If you go 5 times as long, you get 5 times as much. So it's much easier to do your calculations. You get immediate feedback. This is the main one. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I can't tell you how many times I get disappointed when I said, I got a great picture. This would be a great picture. And they get back from being processed, say, whoops, in the trash can. So that's a big one. And the other one is you don't have to develop film or make prints of it. Back then I had a full, very elaborate color darkroom for my business. I can make giant prints, beautiful prints and everything from film, but it takes time and it's a lot of process to do that. Now you just look at the minute you take your picture, play it back on your camera, there it is. You see, was it right? Did you get the right exposure? And not just go to the next one, take another one. Instead of being limited to taking only 36 pictures on 35 millimeter film, I can take thousands of pictures if I want. And when I'm done, I say, well, I don't need that 1,000 pictures anymore. Just erase it and reuse the memory chip. Main thing is everything was getting better and cheaper. And you might say, what do you mean by cheaper? I'm sure that a digital camera today costs a lot more than a Nikon camera did back in 30 years ago. Well, compare what you get for the value at today's cost. It's a lot cheaper. The other thing I'm going to talk a little bit about is a DSLR versus a dedicated astro camera. A DSLR is, I suspect one of you saw you came over with a camera. Who was it? Right there. Yeah, that's a DSLR there. Okay. The advantage of that, you can use it for anything. Take family pictures, scenic pictures, take pictures of your dog, whatever. Okay. But you can also, for a very simple amount, just get a device that uses the same mount on your camera, then it plugs into your telescope, your 2-inch focuser on your telescope, and you can take pictures with it. You can get great pictures now. In fact, people are getting pictures just about as good as you can get with a dedicated astro camera within reason. The problem though is they're not a cooled camera. A dedicated camera for just astronomy has a lot of extra features. Main one being that they're cooled, and by cooling, they have a device called a Peltier, Peltier cooler on the chip. So electronically, it actually lowers the temperature behind that chip. What that does, it removes a lot of the electronic noise created by the electronics in the camera. So you can get a very, very high quality picture. Okay, the third technical advance is digital camera, auto guiding. I mentioned before the real literal pain in the neck of trying to guide your telescope visually. Nowadays, they have cameras, a small, inexpensive camera, you plug into the back of another telescope or a special device called an off-axis guider through your telescope. What it does, it electronically looks at all the stars in the picture, and the software will actually go through it and say, okay, pick out a bright star, line up on that, and perfectly center that star here. And if that moves at all, move your mount just microscopically to always keep that star aligned. So I can sit there and take a picture 2, 3, 4 hours long. And that stars on that picture you end up with are gonna be exactly pinpoints. They're not gonna be streaks or anything. And the old days with film, you really couldn't do that. It just, no matter how hard you tried, you're gonna get streaks or oval shaped stars. Okay. Any question about auto guiding? Okay, and this is done through software, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Okay, the fourth technical advance is specialized filters. Little hunks of glass you put in front of your camera to allow you to take pictures even in light polluted areas. I'm going to show you some pictures a little bit taken from unbelievable locations. There's not dark spots at all. And the light pollution filters, the special filters they have today, allow you to take pictures that you couldn't even get from a really dark sky spot years ago. They're so good. And they even have them matched to different types of camera, what they call sensors, a different type of chips you have. There's ones designed for what they call a CCD chip camera, and there's ones designed just for CMOS. I'm not going to describe what the difference of those two cameras is, but you can actually get chips specialized for that. They have light pollution filters, which are designed to try to minimize the effects of light pollution, try to take out some of the bad stuff that makes the night sky go away. They have narrowband and multi-band filters. And these filters are filters that only let the light come in from certain types of gases, let's say hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen, etc. And some are even matched to the speed of an optical system. I have one setup that's special design that actually the telescope becomes an f1.8, which is incredibly fast telescope speed. And they have special filters to design just for that can control the resolution and what things are able to be picked up by that. And also, if you can also do things during the day too. These digital cameras, you can put special filters or special additions to your telescope, or even buy a special telescope that allows you to take pictures of the sun. And that is one of my other loves, because I like doing the night sky and everything, but also solar astronomy is really cool. Okay, these are my first, well, one of them is my first CCD image. The one up here, I should show it on here. This one there. That's, my mouse doesn't show up on there, unfortunately. It's
on the other screen, and you gotta move the mouse over the other screen.
Oh, on that screen? Oh,
There
there it is. Whoops, went too far.
You can use the mouse wheel in the back.
Yeah, go back here. Anyway, getting lost in space there. Okay, that first image is actually the Horsehead Nebula, and the not the flame. What's that? Of the Horsehead. But the bright star is Alnitak, right to the left of that.
Right.
That's the flame nebula.
Horsehead is right beneath it.
Yeah, but the Horsehead is right in that red stuff, the little black thing there. It's not really sharp, but this was taken from my house in San Francisco with my very first CCD camera. My first CCD camera had a chip on it, about 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, teeny little chip. This was basically no filter of anything, just take a picture up there. And I was astounded I actually got something, and that was with the 8-inch FCT. Okay, and then later on I got a bigger telescope. This is about maybe 8 years, 10 years later, and this was a bigger 11-inch FCT. And that picture on the left is the Horsehead Nebula, and that was taken also from San Francisco. I had
It's the Horsehead right there.
yeah, that's Horsehead there. What's the name of that one up there?
Which one?
One up. Yeah,
The flame?
Yeah.
yeah, flame.
That's the Flame Nebula.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, The one of the oh, I did. In fact, it says it if I'm Nebula. Thor's helmet on the left there, the one with the blue in it.
Yeah.
Thor's helmet. I had the luxury of when I lived in San Francisco. I was on the very edge of San Francisco, and about maybe a quarter mile to the ocean. And between my house and the ocean, it was probably, oh, I'd say maybe a quarter to a third of a mile. And the only houses between my house and the ocean was one house. That was it. I was right on a road beyond there. So if I aimed over the ocean, I didn't have a lot of light pushing come in that direction. So I could do some interesting shots there. But the next technology was the one that really made the difference to me. And this was the narrowband imaging. There's a fellow, some of the people here who are really into astrophotography might know this name. His name was Richard Crisp. And he was probably the first amateur to explore that. He lived pretty close to where I lived in San Francisco. And I think he had about a 10-inch telescope. And he used all narrowband filters. Narrowband filters are H alpha for hydrogen, oxygen 3 for oxygen, and sulfur 2. And they would only look at these narrow spectrums of light and ignore the other stuff around them, okay? So that allowed you to take pictures in really heavy light pollution. That picture, he took that in San Jose, in the middle of San Jose. And he was like the hero of the news god, you know. He used to go to every year there's an astronomy convention they had in San Jose, and people would come from all over the United States to go to it. And when he started doing this, people said, man, this is amazing. I can get pictures of my light polluted place, right? Well, those colors aren't obviously accurate because there's not much green in outer space, but those colors can be mapped, excuse me, those elements be mapped to other colors. That was 1990s when he first started doing that. If you, in those days, if you got some Sky and Telescope or the other astronomy magazines of the day, he had articles in there about that. And what I'm showing here is spectral analysis of stars, but that wasn't really the thing I was really wanting to point out in this, is that different gases and things can be detected and shown in photographs, like for nebula and everything. This is I live at this place now in Macomb Township, which is, well, near Shelby, about 25-mile road in Hayes. And this is one of my telescopes set up. This is 11-inch Schmidt Cassegrain. Pardon? Oh, I can flip it. Sorry about that. I can flip it over here. There we go. Okay. And this is out on my patio, and stuff goes out there. And when I need to bring in, I just bring everything in, or I can leave it up for the night. I've got a big giant, they call it Astro Zap. I think it just cover that fits over everything, tie everything down. And I've got a big dog, so no worries back there. But anyway, using narrowband filters on that telescope and some other telescopes, you can get some amazing pictures. Well, the thing I've next discovered was that downsizing will allow you to do the same thing by going to smaller mounts, smaller scopes and everything. And this is when I went to the next step, and which is I guess my current step. I still have that big telescope out there, but whether I'm using that 11-inch SCT or a 6-inch on it, I can just about match, or sometimes even better, get better pictures using this setup. On the left, and that two telescope setup, that is an 8-inch SCT, but with what they call a hyperstar. On a hyperstar, you take the front element of your Schmidt Cassegrain, it comes off. It's got a bayonet mount, so it comes off. And in its place, there's a optical device that fits in the front of the telescope, and a camera plugs into that. So your camera actually is in the front of the telescope here, this way. And so it's actually taking a picture past itself. And that is, I mentioned earlier, that allows you to have a camera set up that's operating at f1.8, which is very, very fast.
That's a reflector.
That's a reflector. Yeah, it's a reflector. Yeah, the other one's a refractor. But anyway, so that's set up. I get some amazing pictures. This is a very wide field view. The mount to have those on is a ZWO, which is a Chinese company. It's an AM5, and they're sort of eating everybody else's lunch on the telescope companies because they're relatively, inexpensive. I think that mount is about a couple grand for that mount, and all their stuff they put out, it all works together. So
What's the company again?
ZWO, and they have several cameras. They have a little box. There's on the side of that one on the left, you can see right below that top telescope, there's a little red box about the size of a playing card. That little box is called an ASI Air, and it basically has all the software to do everything I used to have to use multiple expensive programs to do. It maintains everything from autofocus. It will focus the telescope. It will do auto guiding, lock on perfectly. It can be set up so you can do a plan where you said, okay, I want to go to this object, take a picture starting at 11 o'clock at night, take so many pictures. After that's done, go to the next object and take a bunch of pictures of that object. So you can do automated. Both that telescope and the one alongside, which is a smaller refractor, that small refractor is an 80 millimeter refractor, which is just a little over 3 inches. And that telescope is an amazing telescope. It's incredibly sharp, and you get some great pictures. But the big advantage of that especially is look how small that is. I keep the bottom telescope in my kitchen set up. All I have to do is unplug 2 wires, undo 2 thumb locks. The entire telescope and all the cameras just lift off. I lay that on my dining room table, take the tripod outside, put it back in on my patio. My patio, I have 3 divots I've drilled in the concrete so the legs are always in exactly the same position. So makes it, perfectly polar aligned all the time. I bring the telescope out, put it on top, put the thumb screws to lock it in place, turn everything on. Within probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I can be up taking pictures and everything. Before, with the other setup, it might take me an hour and a half before everything cooled down enough and take pictures. So when you live in a place like we do, where the weather is not very good most of the time, when you do get a good night, you don't want to spend all your time trying to get everything working, and invariably something doesn't work right, so you're fiddling with it. So it's a lot less frustrating. So the advantage of all these new systems, they're a lot easier to use. They've taken all the pain, you might say literally the pain, out of guiding and everything else. So when people see me and they say, I want to take pictures, do whatever, I say the first thing you do is learn all the basics, okay, all about how to find stuff in the sky and so on and so forth. But this will actually do everything for you. That little box I told you about, it has inside of it a complete database of all the objects of any interest in the sky. It has what they call plate solving. So I say, okay, I want to go up to this object in the sky. And I say, go to object M27. It goes to M27 and then it takes a picture up there, and it takes all those stars, might be 60 stars it sees in there, even from a light polluted area, we'll see them. Then it says, okay, you're pretty well centered. Let me move it over a little bit higher there. Okay, now you're perfectly centered. This thing is so accurate, I can go back a week later, set my telescope up, and guess what? It goes right to the same place. You can overlay the pictures on top of each other. It's amazing. Okay, so before I go on, I've just got a few sample pictures to show you what you can do yourself. But the main thing is, if you want to get into astrophotography, talk to somebody who's already doing it, and we're more than happy to help you get involved in it. But you can also do things like this. Okay.
More than happy to help you spend all your money.
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily. Okay, let's look at a photo. This is a picture which some of you have seen this before, and this is a picture which is, to me, absolutely incredible. This is a picture of the Milky Way taken from Zion Park by his
5,000 feet up.
yeah, 5,000 foot up by his two grandsons. They're twins, right?
Yep.
And when they were up there, you don't have to even put this on a tripod. He took a standard handheld cell phone, put his arms on his car roof, right?
Yeah,
Just out like that,
yeah.
push the button. And you don't have to even hold it perfectly because these cameras are so good now, they will realize just taking a picture of something that's pretty faint and everything, and it will shoot a whole bunch of pictures and automatically stack them. When they got back, they didn't even realize until they got back, and Angelo pointed out to his grandsons, that's the comet. It's a comet.
Comet Atlas.
Yeah, comet. That's just, to me, that was just amazing, with a handheld cell phone, it's amazing. And not only that, I've done the same thing at night. Okay, I live up in 25 Mile Road in Hayes, which is about as much light pollution as you have here, probably. It's pretty bad. One night, this is when, about 3 months ago, I guess.
That was May 10th.
Yeah, May, yeah. And so I went out and I could see it. I see a little bit of a roar. It's like, it looks like just like a gray haze, no colors or anything. Said, I wonder if I could take a picture of that. So I took, again, my cell phone camera, ended up handheld, took a picture, and that's the picture I got. Just like that. He did the same thing. When I got back, when I saw that, I told everybody, hey, the aurora's up. Take your cell phone camera, just go out, aim at the sky, and take a picture. And everybody said, oh my God, you can see it in color and everything, because the cell phone is taking, in effect, a longer exposure, so it picks up all the colors. You didn't see any of that color at all with your eye. I just saw like maybe like a gray, little bit of haze, and that's it.
Go outside, the sky is a little bit red.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, when the lights are there.
So next time you hear there may be roars out tonight, consider just going out. Just all you have to do is just face basically north. Just go a little bit this way from north, and you'll probably see some. This year we've had what 3 times? 3 times we've had thus far this year the aurora, and that's because this year we've got solar. We just went through solar max, so a lot of activity. So that's more apt to happen.
That's what causes it. The electromagnetic field of the sun blasts the electromagnetic field of the earth, and that's what that produces.
Yep. And then the other thing you can do is like this picture. This is the Ville Nebula, taken in black and white. And the reason I did in black and white, this was with one of those neoban filters, H alpha filter. So all it's seeing is just the hydrogen. Okay. This was taken from my backyard in San Francisco. This is where I wasn't even living near the ocean yet. And this was taken with a Teleview 85 millimeter refractor. So again, put on my mount, find where I want, take a picture. And there's actually 2 pictures there. 2/3 of that picture is 1 frame. Then I needed a little bit more to make the whole picture. So I took 1.5 frames, you might say, to get the whole picture. To me, that's phenomenal. You can do that in a light polluted area. And again, this is back to this Richard Crisp. He's the one that put me onto that, doing this narrowband stuff. Now all these new filters they have nowadays, now you can do stuff like this. Again, this was taken from my backyard in Macomb Township. And that picture is a wide field. I think there's about 4 separate frames there making a wide field view. And that was taken with that small 80 millimeter refractor. To the left, that's the North American Nebula, the bright spot. Just a little bit to the right of that is the Pelican Nebula. If you go all the way down to, if I want to do this or not, I'm probably gonna mess me up. The bottom right of that picture is like a little bubble. People in the room, I can show you here. Little area right there, that's the Crescent Nebula. And I've taken the same thing, just that Crescent Nebula with my other telescope closer in, and you get the frame will show up that the entire frame is filled up with just that one object. But again, this was taken in a light polluted area. The fellow that started doing a lot of this when these new ZWO cameras came out and all the special filters, they were down in Los Angeles, and the place now, I think they sold out, right? But it was OPT, I think it was. And they would set up like a couple, 3 times a week in the parking lot in LA and take pictures like that. And that just to me boggles my mind. You can do that. You know, you couldn't get pictures like this in a dark sky spot just a few years ago. This is another picture. This is when I took my same backyard. This is the Heart Nebula. And again, you can do amazing pictures. A lot of these pictures you can do are ones that you can find. Most telescopes can easily find them. They're bright enough object that works pretty well.
Is the red a certain gas?
Yeah, that's probably mostly hydrogen. Most of these type of nebulas are mostly heavily the hydrogen gas, so it picks them up. And where you kind of fall down with this type of setup with the narrowband is when you want to take pictures of galaxies. Unfortunately, to do a really good picture of a galaxy, you really need to be out in a dark sky spot. But I do have some I've got here, a couple pictures I've taken of galaxies here. And this was taken, both these were taken with, I have a 6-inch Applecromat telescope. And so the one on the, both those are the same thing, actually. I take, you know.
Well, M51 is on.
Yeah, 51 is on the top. The other one is the, right, no, not the right,
Whirlpool?
Whirlpool, yeah, the Whirlpool Galaxy, it's Whirlpool Galaxy. And you can do pictures like those, but from a dark sky spot. You're not gonna have much luck trying to get those because they're the wrong, you don't have the gases like a nebula is to pick up from dark sky spot. And you can go to, remember I told you that North American Nebula, and there was a Pelican Nebula from that. Well, this was just an H alpha filter picking up the Pelican Nebula. And the Pelican is, I don't know if I'd like to show you on here. Hopefully, there we go. Okay, that is the beak of the Pelican there. There's the head. Down there, the back, that's the spine, the tail here. And down here, I think that's supposed to be considered one of those webbed feet. Okay. But again, that's a picture you can do. And that was taken with a 6-inch Applecromatic refractor, which is a phenomenal telescope, but very big. That telescope is, I think, about 40 pounds just for the telescope by the time I put all the stuff on it. So obviously, it gives a great picture, but it's really not real portable. The setup I use for that, when I take it up to Cadillac, one of the members of our club here has a place up in Cadillac. We go up there 2-3 times a year, but that doesn't go up and set up one night, turn around and come back. It's got to be the type of thing where you spend half a night setting it up, and then the next morning take it down if you want to come back, but we don't do it that way. We set it up and leave it there 4 or 5 days all set up. But that's not real convenient. And I'm almost 78. I'm getting kind of old for that stuff. Okay. No, I think this is just about the last one here. Oh, there we go. This is called the Rosette Nebula and a rose, right? And this is something, I took this from my backyard also, but I've taken that picture several times, both from my yard and also up in Cadillac. And frankly, pictures I get from my yard look just as good as the ones from up in Cadillac. Okay. How are we doing for time here? Okay.
Where's my glasses?
Somebody came in.
Okay. Okay, this is my other love is solar astronomy. And this wasn't taken this year. This was taken right before the solar max. I think it was probably 6 months ago or so. And the H alpha filters, you can either get special telescopes just for the sun, or you can get special filter setups to put on existing telescopes. But this particular one was taken with a telescope with adapters on it to make H alpha. And you can take pictures showing not only the what they call the prominences, the material coming off the sun, but also you can get pictures showing the detail on the sun. I don't know if I can blow that up on here, without messing this, let me try it. Does this have expand with the fingers on here, the screen?
No.
That's okay. I can't do it. Because normally I can see that picture, I can blow it up. You can see all the detail. Because with that setup, you can see all the, well, they actually call them convection cells. It looks like granularity on the surface. That's the material bubbling on the surface. In that picture, the white stuff is a harder part compared to everything else. If you see some black, a little like what they call, those are called filaments on the, say on the left side down here of the sun. When you have a prominence or a flare coming off the sun on the side, it's just a flare. When it comes at you, it's going so quickly, it changes the frequency of the light. So therefore, it looks darker. So it actually, a little black, it looks like hairlines laying on the surface. You can also do other types of photography with this for solar, but way this is done compared to all the other deep sky stuff, you take a bunch of pictures, maybe 5-minute long exposures, 10-minute long exposures, longer. Then you take a bunch of them, then you stack them, keep on stacking them. When you stack them, it increases your the electronic data you have in that picture. So you can pick up more detail, better resolution, that type of thing. For solar stuff, you work sort of the opposite. Instead of using individual pictures, you take a movie. And the movie, every movie has individual frames making up the movie. So you tell your same setup to take 3,000 or 5,000 movie frames, which might take 3 minutes or so. So it takes 3 minutes worth of pictures of the sun to the special solar setup. And you run through special software, and the special software takes all those frames and treats them as individual pictures. And then it automatically rates them. So, okay, this one is better than this one by 50%. This one is much better. This is really bad because of air cycling through and everything else. And it will pick the best 15% of those pictures. And again, it will stack them. I'll give you a picture that's much higher resolution. So you can get incredible resolution on the sun that way. The other thing you can do is do a video stop action or slow motion rather. This next picture is how you can do that. And this is done the same way as a regular, I guess, animation is done. I think it'll start here. Is it moving? Okay. Yeah, it is. Okay. This is an animation, and this picture with a close-up. And what you do is take maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of that sun. But what it does, it shoots one every few seconds. And each individual shot is now a single frame of that movie. So this movie is probably maybe 5 seconds long to 8 seconds long, but it represents what happened in that 3-hour period. And so this is a animation, you might say, of actually what's going on in the sun. Because if you looked at the sun, you would not see it, that motion visually. But the camera will see it because it's a long duration is taking. Okay. The other thing you can do is certain times of year are better for taking pictures, not only of the object, but in Michigan here, certain times of the year are much better for taking pictures. Right now is a lousy time because number one, the rain, the smoke we had from Canada, that was horrible. The heat and everything else. But other times of the year, like I find to be the best time is right around, November, maybe early December. And you can go out and get some great pictures of dark sky objects and pick up a lot more detail, a lot more resolution. This next picture. This picture is another, I call a sharpless object. Sharpless is a fellow who created a catalog. All these astronomers like to make catalogs of their favorite objects. They're all nebulous. This particular one is Sharpless 2-147, which is very close to the North Pole. It's always up around the North Pole. You can take a picture of that any time, as long as the sky is clear. When I first saw that, it was not taken with my 6-inch refractor, which is big, huge telescope, very sharp optics, everything else. And also didn't use that setup with the ZWO. This used a S-big full frame camera and a bunch of individual filters and everything else. But the thing that was neat was that particular object was just discovered in 1959. It was a relatively new object. And when I on my Sky Safari, you can go in, you can take any catalog in that you want and highlight it on your screen. Well, I have for all the sharpless objects. And I started going through them. And I found this one. I say, it looks like an interesting one. Let me take a picture because it's right up easy for me to get to from my house. I used that very wide field setup I have, which is about 3.5 degree wide field, which is very wide. And I said, well, look at that. I pick up a lot of cool colors and everything in there, you know. That object is about half the size of the moon. Said, that might be a cool one to go after for my big refractor. So I set that up and I said, whoa, that's one of my favorite pictures of all time I've got. I love the colors on that. That's a neat picture. And the next one.
Visually.
Okay, and this is my last picture. If you remember, I think about my second frame I had with the pictures on it. One was called Thor's helmet, which is just a little bit below Sirius. And unfortunately, that particular object, you can only really get a nice picture in the winter because it's got to be high up. And the best time it's high up is right around November, December, whatever, right around Orion. So I've been waiting for several years till I get it in the best place. And when the weather was reasonable, well, I've had a hard time because I tried about 10 years trying to get it, and invariably, you know, it's either rain, snow, clouds, or whatever. But finally, I got it one year, and this is the picture I got. That one, excuse me, unfortunately, I can't blow it up on here, but if I could, that picture has an amazing resolution. Anyway, that's the type of thing you can do, and those are pictures you can take even in light polluted areas if you know what you're doing.
That's an amazing.
Okay, I think that's about it, right, Bob? So, any questions?
Lots of questions.
Okay,
I just want to just mention to each of you that one of the things that you can avoid spending a lot of money on a photography event, become friends with people like him. And then you can watch things with your telescope. If you look at a really great picture.
yeah.
You know,
That actually, I recommend that highly because, you know, I didn't have that luxury because I was a member of still am, the San Francisco Amateur Astronomers. And that club, when I joined, I was the only one taking pictures. That club, one of their founding fathers and active member was John Dobson. So everybody in that club made their own, ground their own mirrors, made their own telescopes, all had Dobsonian telescopes up to, I think the largest one is a 36-inch Dobsonian, which is a monster and a half.
We have a 22.
Yeah, our club has a 22-inch, which is one of the bigger Dobsonians in Michigan, I think, really. It's a beautiful scope. But since I didn't have access to anybody really into astrophotography, I had to learn it on my own. So as I mentioned before, that's when you find out, you know, what the black space in your wallet is. The dark nebula. It used to be your money, now it's telescope stuff. One thing I'd recommend if you're going to get into that, you have to decide what you want to do, what you want. If you want just to observe, we can tell you as a club, you need this type of a telescope, this type of equipment. If you want to get into photography, we can tell you how to get into it from a cheaper standpoint. There's a lot of ways you can do it, including get your cell phone out. If you have a DSLR, just get a tripod and put it on there. You'd be amazed what you can get with wide angle photos with that. You don't have to be go over the deep end like I have. And I can guarantee that a lot of people have gone a lot deeper than I have. I used to go to this when I lived in California. Every year they had this astro imaging conference. There's about 600 members every year that would go to it. And my stuff in comparison to what most of those guys had was really, really basic stuff. These guys had stuff you would not believe. And the best way to do it is find somebody who has that stuff. He says, hey, can you show me how to do this? What do you do? How do you get these pictures? Works great. I'll guarantee people will be willing to help you. I know Bill Beers, and I, and there's a couple other people in the club. Yeah, yeah, we will help you, get into it if you want. Also other clubs we have groups, like I'm a member of Oakland Astronomy Club, and there's several people in there that are heavy into astrophotography. And, so a lot of the club's members will get together and we do things, not just one club, but other clubs get together and do, astronomy stuff. And as far as having to get really, expensive equipment, there's a lady in the Oakland Club. Her specialty is she only takes pictures of auroras and Milky Way. And she has pictures which, I mean, she literally still knock your socks off. The pictures she gets, she travels all over the place, and every time she comes, she says, "Oh, I got this picture the other day. I drove up to such and such and got this picture," and goes, and your jaw drops. Just amazing what you can do. In our club, we have Adrian. He's a great imager. Dill Holenbaugh, he's getting some great stuff. And these guys, especially Dill, he just started doing this just a couple of years ago. He and his wife are getting some amazing pictures and stuff. Adrian, he's had, I think 3 or 4 of his pictures are now shown up on with Astronomy Magazine or Sky and Telescope. He's actually having his, Milky Way. That's his specialty, Milky Way photographs.
Really?
He's having several of his pictures showed up there. So,
Doug Bach too.
yeah, Doug Bach, he's got some great stuff, and Bill Beers has some great pictures. So there's plenty of people around that can get you started in that. Yeah.
You sort of told us the story of starting out with small crude refractor and a camera.
Which didn't work at all.
Didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And you go on and on and on for 7 years, right?
Yeah.
And it gets fancier and more expensive.
Isn't necessarily, they're getting.
Now we've got these C-Star cameras.
Right.
C-Star.
Yeah, I didn't cover that. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. At our last meeting.
Yeah, last week.
I think somebody talked about them, so I don't want, stop on your parade, but right now, if you want to get into astronomy, taking pictures, the C-Star is probably the absolute best way to start.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's about $400 to $500, that thing, and you don't look through it like a regular telescope. It's just for taking pictures, but it's a very small, compact, like so, put on a picnic table, whatever. And I'm seeing there's a couple of members of our club. In fact, one of them, Bill Kippen, remember Bill Kippen? He has a home up in the Thumb now. And he bought one about 3 weeks ago. Every night he's sending me pictures he got last night, because he lives in a great area. It's nice and dark up there. And just beautiful pictures. Little telescope, you could backpack it wherever you want to use it. It's very lightweight. They're great pictures. So
It's not what it was at one point.
Yeah.
Point for me, like you said in the beginning, when you got into it years ago, you just be ready to go to the next size.
Yeah,
as they say,
yeah.
And then the next size.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next.
Yeah, well, that's a visual back when I was in San Francisco Club. That's everybody's wish list to say, okay, buy the next bigger one so I can buy your old one, and all these telescopes had 4 or 5 previous owners as they worked their way down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Through the years, how many telescopes have you had and how many do you have now?
Is my wife listening? No. No, I have a few. Some of the telescopes I've gotten for free, believe it or not. The people would, just give them to me because they gave up, whatever, or.
Know about that too.
Yeah, but I've got 2 11-inch scopes, split casted range. One of them was my first 11-inch, that picture I had on there was one of them. And then another one I bought used. And then I've got an 8-inch SCT, which is when I use my wide field stuff. And that actually, if I'm buying a single telescope, probably that would be the first and only telescope I would consider to start with, if you want to do photography and visual and everything else, because it's so capable. It can be used for photography, for high resolution planetary viewing, it can be used for wide field and everything else. They're high quality.
You got a solar scope too.
Yeah, I've got two solar scopes. One of them I bought. Actually, it was my retirement gift when I retired from my fellow buddies. And then my other telescope actually it's a Lunt solar scope, and I was actually given that because I'm involved with the Boy Scouts. In fact, they mentioned the Boy Scout observatory I designed, and that's buddy, my late buddy now, unfortunately, but he and I were the ones that designed and built that observatory, and we were looking for ways to get, maybe a solar scope, buy on one, whatever, and he found a solar astronomy group in the United States is for education and everything. And it said on there, if you're educator, teacher, whatever, observatory operator, contact us, maybe we can help. So he said, well, we're the Boy Scouts, we have this observatory, it's got a 14-inch Schmidt Cassegrain and blah, 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 One day, ding dong, door broke like that. Big pack opened up. It was a Lunt telescope, 16mm H alpha scope, absolutely free. That's about, I think, about $1,800 solar scope. So sometimes you come into things like that. My favorite telescope actually is a 6-inch apochromatic refractor, which I got in 2005 or 2004 when I retired. And that is a phenomenal telescope, very pricey nowadays. It would probably run you just about $16,000 just for that telescope, no mount or anything. But again, like I say, it can be very pricey, but you don't have to buy stuff like that. One of the members of the Oakland Club, I just gave him a telescope. Mark, last name, but anyway, this fancy 6-inch telescope I have, before that, my refractor was a 6-inch Chinese refractor, same size, same focal length, but a achromat. In refractors, there's two types. One is an achromat, which is a 2-element lens, two pieces of glass in the front. And then an apochromat is either 2 with one of them being an ED, or even better is when you have 3 elements, which is the ultimate. Well, when I got that bigger 6-inch, I no longer needed the old one. So another member of my club, our club here, Lee Hartwell, late member, unfortunately, passed away a couple of years ago, dear friend of mine. But anyway, he has or had an observatory in his house. He has a condominium, and in the roof of it, from his second floor, he had a big, like a skylight that could be opened up. So his telescopes ran inside of his house at night. And so anyway, I had this telescope. I said, hey, you want a telescope? He said, sure, what you got? He said, well, I can use that for solar. I'll put my, solar filter on that for solar. So he had that. Well, when he passed away, his wife said, I don't want to sell it. You want it back, you can take it back. I said, no, I got a better idea. I'll donate it. So the Oakland Club I belong to also, I decided to have a drawing for it. So a bunch of people put in a, ticket to get it, and this one fellow wanted to do it. So about a month ago, he came over and picked it up. And it's obviously not an ultra high-end telescope. I think it knew it was about $600, but it was a good telescope. So I'm sure he'll get a lot of use out of it. And that's one thing I'd recommend people do is, a member of a club, let people know you're looking for a telescope. And a lot of people will be more than happy to work with you. Say, hey, I know of one here. And if you want to have it checked out, I'll have, club members check it out, make sure it's still good and everything. So you don't have to go out and buy a really expensive piece of equipment to start with. Any other questions? I did, I just. Thank you. Shut that in. Yeah. We need to shut down. Stop share.
Go away, go away, go away. All right. Yeah, get out now.
Shut out?
Yep. All right, everyone. Okay, our next star party is at Stargate next week on July 26th. Our next board meeting is in 2 weeks on Monday, the 28th. And we meet at the National Coney Island on Van Dyke, north of 12 Mile after this for gastronomy. And meeting is over. Clear skies, safe travels, everyone. Good night. See you.
Are we going to the Tony?
Yeah.
Jimmy's.
Is there a race basket?
Yeah, right in front of you.
Oh, I see it.
Yep.
Right back.
Night, everyone. See ya.
National and then go into the back.
Right.